Disney, the Fox and the Hound. One spring morning, a kind widow named Mrs. Tweed found a surprise under her laundry. "Oh! A little baby fox," she cried. "Have you been abandoned?" She gently picked up the cub and carried him into the house. "I will take care of you," said the old lady. "Your name will be Todd." Down the road from Mrs. Tweed lived a hunter named Amos Slade. The same day Mrs. Tweed found Todd, Amos brought home a surprise for his old hound chief. It was a puppy hound. "His name is Copper," Amos said. "You and I will take care of him and teach him to hunt." Time went by. Todd grew a little stronger and a little bigger every day, and so did Copper. One morning, Todd wandered out of the farmyard and into the woods. He was busy sniffing all the exciting new scents, when all of a sudden, he ran into Copper, who was also out sniffing. "Oh, good! Someone to play with," thought Todd, and he politely said hello. "He's a funny-looking dog," thought Copper, "but he looks friendly." So he said hello back. Soon the fox and the hound were very good friends. They romped through the woods, chased each other down paths, and jumped into a pond together. Splash! They could not stop laughing. When it was time to go home, Todd said, "Let's play together every day." "Every day," said Copper. And so, every day they met and played in the woods. But one morning, Copper was not there. Todd decided to go look for him at Amos's house. Todd found his friend tied to a doghouse made from a barrel. He was very surprised. Mrs. Tweed never tied him up. Todd saw another dog sleeping in a second barrel. "Is this Chief?" he asked his friend, who had told him about his older companion. "He must be a very kind daddy," he added, as he stepped over to give Chief a friendly hug. But the old hound smelled fox and woke up growling. He leaped toward Todd and chased the frightened little fox through the yard, dragging his barrel with him and barking madly. Todd ran right into the chickens. Squawk, growl. What a racket! The little fox leaped over the fence and jumped into Mrs. Tweed's approaching truck. Todd missed his friend Copper. Copper missed his friend Todd, too. The days were long and boring without Todd to play with. Then, one day, Copper saw Amos and Chief with the car. "Come on, Copper," said Amos. "It's time we teach you to hunt." That same morning, Todd sneaked away. "What a wonderful morning," he sang. "I can't wait to see Copper. Maybe we can play together." But when Todd reached Copper's home, he heard a loud bang and then an engine start. There was Copper in the car leaving with Amos and Chief. Todd watched as they drove away. He did not know that Copper would be gone a long, long time. Days flew by and winter slowly gave way to spring, and the leaves grew back on the trees tender and green. Flowers sprang up in the fields and birds chirped in the countryside. Todd had also grown a lot through the winter and he had become a very handsome fox. "How tall you are," said his friends. All of a sudden, a loud rumbling noise broke the country silence. Todd ran to see Amos, Chief, and Copper driving up the road. Copper sat in the front next to his master and Chief was in the back. "Copper is back," cried Todd with joy. "I'll go see him tonight." "Watch out, Todd. Copper is a grown hound now. He's learned how to hunt," warned his friends. That night, Todd slipped out of the house. He ran over to Amos's house, where he and Copper met face to face. "You have to go, Todd. I am a hound now and I hunt foxes. You are not safe here," he warned the fox. "But I'm not just any fox, Copper. "I'm your friend," protested Todd. "I'm sorry, but I can't be your friend anymore." "That's the way it is," said the Hound firmly. Todd was very disappointed. He could not understand why Copper did not want to be his friend anymore. Mrs. Tweed knew it was time to let Todd run free. Foxes are supposed to live in the woods, not on farms. The next morning, she brought her little friend to a wildlife sanctuary nearby, took off his collar and said goodbye. "Now, be good," she told him. "I hope you make a lot of friends in the woods. You'll be very happy here." Meanwhile, Amos and Copper were out hunting for foxes. Copper picked up Todd's scent and the chase was on. Until they ran straight into a huge grizzly bear. With a great roar, the bear raised himself on his hind legs. Amos screamed in terror. As he started to run away, he stepped into a trap that closed on his foot with a loud snap. Amos screamed with pain, and this sent Copper into action. The Hound jumped onto the wild bear, snarling and biting. Todd heard the roaring and snarling. "That's Copper." He ran over, just as Copper had gotten hurt by the angry bear. Todd raced to help his friend. He didn't care that Copper had become a hunting dog. He was still his friend. Todd jumped on the bear and bit his ear. He led the enraged bear away from Copper and Amos toward a rotten log bridge. The log broke, sending the bear into the water below. Todd had saved Copper and Amos. Todd swam to the bank, exhausted. When he looked up, Amos loomed over him, with his shotgun aimed at him. Todd stared back in disbelief. He had saved the hunter's life. Just as Amos was about to fire, Copper jumped in front of his friend. "If Amos shoots you, he will have to shoot me, too," said the Hound to his friend. Amos lowered his gun and said, "Copper, you're right. Your friend should go free. Thanks for saving us, little fox." With that, he turned and walked away. The animals breathed sighs of relief. Todd followed Copper to the edge of the forest. "Goodbye, Copper," he said. "Goodbye, Todd, and thank you," called the Hound after him. Todd went back happily into his new home in the sanctuary. He and Copper were friends again. The end.